Okay, this is a continuation of the last discussion on 2nd Nephi 9. And just recap, if you remember, we actually started out with the fact that, keep writing things, that we have the atonement, that this is about the atonement and the importance of the atonement. So now, there's one part in here that he just talks a little bit about us, a little bit, and the evil one. And he says, "Oh, the cunning plan of the evil one," and right here again is a scripture mastery scripture in seminary, and so you can highlight that. Oh, the cunning plan of the evil one! Oh, the vainness and frailties and foolishness of men! When they are learned, they think they are wise, and hearken not unto the counsels of God. And they set it aside, supposing that they know for themselves. Wherefore their wisdom is foolishness, and it profiteth them not, and they shall perish. But to be learned is good if they hearken unto the counsels of God. So there we have just a really powerful statement about how vain we really are sometimes, and I think we do, and I don't think it's just members outside the church. I think so often we think we know better and try to come up with something better than, for instance, sharing our testimony or doing the things that we were asked to do, like I don't know, paying tithing sometimes is something some people will think, well, I know better, or even something as simple as the word of wisdom. Well, I understand smoking, I understand drinking, but why tea and coffee? There's no reason, there's no health risk, but that's not what we should be doing. We should trust in the Lord and hearken unto the counsels of God. So if He asks us to do something and it seems silly and foolish in the world's terms, do it anyway. Sometimes that happens. The big conversation about, well, why should missionaries not be able to have beards and things like that? Those are conversations you don't need to have. Because we can hearken unto the counsels of God and have the blessings. Anyway, that was just a little bit of just talk on that. We can apply that to ourselves. But then we go on to our woes. I like my woes. And I'm not going to go through them, because I don't want to spend time. I just want to go through one, because it's one of my favorite ones, and I like to bring it up every time I catch somebody telling a little fib, just because it's fun to catch them when they're doing that. You know, when you're just trying to play around with someone, and by saying, no, it's not that way, but it, and so I'll say, well, it says, woe unto the liar, for ye shall be thrust down to hell. Now, I love that word. Let's pull it up here. Thrust down to hell. So, he's saying, no, the liar's not just going to be placed there. He's going to be thrust down. You know, that's a big, strong word. He's not just going to, like, walk down into hell. He's just going to be thrust down there. He's going to bounce against the walls when he gets down there. You know, he's going to splat right on the ground. I quite like that. I remember that in seminary, and I always remember that verse now because of that imagery of this liar being thrust down to hell. And so don't lie. And don't do any of these other things either. As you see, we've got quite a few things in there that's pretty bad. But he sums it up in the last little bit. And in fine, woe unto all those who die in their sins, for they shall return to God and behold his face and remain in their sins. So quite simple knowledge of what's to happen. Just going on from there. Yeah, okay. He goes on now, and this is sort of his finishing statement. Remember, all of this comes from reading Isaiah. These things are very important to him, and reading Isaiah is the one that brings these things out. And then he goes through, and this is something that you can underline. I haven't underlined them. I'll let you do that. At least not in this. I haven't underlined them. But he starts with the remember section. He's told you about the atonement. He's told you about how great God is in all that he's done. And now he says to remember. And whenever you see remember, you should underline that, because it's something that they think is important and that you should remember. And how many times does he say remember in these scriptures? It's just he wants us to remember the things. So read those through, reread them, see why he's saying remember. And he then declares that he's given you that to remember. Remember my words. Behold, I take off my garments and shake them before you. And somehow I skipped verse 47. It's not because I didn't think it was important. It's just the way I cut this. But he is pleading with us to come unto the Holy One of Israel. So we want to come unto God at this point. And he gives such an argument here, the elegance of how he speaks. Enjoy this chapter. And it finishes with, once again, the last one that I told you to underline, the covenants and condescensions of God unto the men. And, of course, just like him, I will speak more on the morrow. I will declare unto you the remainder of my words. So next chapter, we will declare more, I guess. I love this chapter. Read it over and over again. Thanks for listening.